Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am finally getting around to doing this video where I am basically breaking everything down for you. I'm giving you step-by-step information that I've probably never given out before. I just really want to help you get an understanding, get a grip, and basically get comfortable with applying eyeshadow. I'm giving you two different ways and methods of doing your eyeshadow. So I've created pretty much near enough the same eye look, but differently with different methods on both eyes, but they're still both nice and easy. So it's up to you whichever way you choose to do your eyeshadow, but I just wanted to give you an option on how to do it. This video is actually dedicated to my sisters because we've got weddings coming up, even my own brother's wedding coming up, and I can't do their makeup because I don't have time to do their makeup. My mum's, mine, blah, blah, blah. This is for them also to put things into practice and learn how to do it properly. Also, this is for all you guys that watch me do it and are still like, I can't do it. And you can. Practice makes perfect. And so to my tips. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to let you get into the learning. I hope you've got your palettes and your brushes at the ready. Let's go. Let's do this. Enjoy learning. Okay guys, let's get straight into it because there's a lot to learn. So like I said in my intro, there are two ways of doing this because I want you to be able to use the tools that you have or use a way that you feel most comfortable with, which is why I'm giving you two options as a beginner. I'm going to do one whole method on this eye first, and then we'll move on to this eye and do the other method. So this first method I'm going to show you is probably the easier out of the two, and that is probably the quickest way that you can do your eyeshadow as well. So I like to use like a cream eyeshadow or one that comes in like a pencil form or pen form. This one is from Charlotte Tilbury. This one is actually one of my favorites. Some other favorites I have are Laura Mercier do really good pen ones, and Hourglass do some shadows and stuff that come in pots. So Charlotte Tilbury do that also. Tom Ford do. I mean, how much do you want to splash out, hun? Loads of brands will do stick eyeshadows, cream eyeshadows, things like that. What I like to do, I've done my brows, of course, my other makeup is on, and I always conceal under my brows. That's just something I always do. If that's something you don't do, then cool, that's up to you. But I find that this is great for me, not only to lift my brow, but when I apply a shadow up here, it's gonna allow the shadow to stick to something up here. If you don't do this, it's fine. You can skip that step if you wish. I just wanna make it really clear. Do whatever you're comfortable with, okay? What I'll do from that point on to do my eyeshadow really quickly but really easily, I'll use my pen and I'll basically just draw over my eye. Now, my crease is here. If you want to find your crease, you can kind of just look straight into a mirror. If I look straight, I can see exactly where my eye is gonna fold right here, and that is where my crease would be. These are really important things to pay attention on yourself because it's going to help you with creating the look and also understanding what I'm talking about. So I'm going to apply this shadow not all the way up to the crease, just kind of before I get to it. And then with a blending brush, this is the Morphe M518. I'm just going to run this along the edge of that to blend it out. Another thing you could do if you're in a rush and you don't have brushes, literally just use your finger to go against the edge of that line and it will blend it out. But obviously if you want to do things properly, you could just use a brush. You want to get the brush on the line and also into the crease and go back and forth in windscreen wiper motions like so. That way you're not taking this product too high, you're literally keeping it on the lid. Another thing you can do to make sure it stays on the lid and within the crease area is you can kind of just poke with your brush and see where your brush dents in, and mine dents in right there. That is where my crease is. So that's kind of where I have a guideline to not go above that dent. Does that make sense? So I'm going to just keep going back and forth in that area. So now I haven't got a super harsh line and it's softly blended. I can either leave it like that, go with one shadow, bobbed your uncle, and you're pretty much done. Or obviously we're going to do things properly around here. I'm going to go in with a little bit more, and now I can take it slightly higher because I've blended the first bit, I've assessed the situation, and I can go slightly higher up to my crease. And then while the product is still nice and creamy and wet, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing and blend, so that now the product will blend into my actual crease. So you can see the shadow is literally up to here now, like so. That literally looks great as it is, and that's a nice easy way to have a nice shadow on. And you can get matte versions of these. I know Laura Mercier do matte ones, Maybelline do little matte pots and stuff, and MAC do loads of stuff like that as well. If you want like a shimmery vibe, that looks great. And then what you can do, so you can also run this along the lower lash line and smudge it along there, and you're pretty much done with taking it all around the eyes. But I just want to show you what to do kind of with this and on top of it. So I just want to show you how I would at this point kind of define the eyes further and also add a transitional color. You could either do the transition before we did this, or you can do it now at this point. So I'm going to go into my Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. I feel like this is just such a staple and classic palette. You cannot go wrong with this. So that's why I want to show you how to use this. So for me, in this palette, the most perfect transitional shade is this one right here, which is Burnt Orange. Now, a transitional shade is going to change depending on every single look and everyone's skin tone. Usually a transitional eyeshadow tends to be a nice soft brown shade for most looks, but if you're doing like wild color and you're doing a whole pink eye, then maybe you would do a baby pink. The transitional color is basically going to be the lighter and softest version of the eye look that you're going to create. So where I'm creating a bronzy brownie eye, I'm choosing a really soft light brown, and this is so that everything else, all the other colors, any other eyeshadows can blend into this. So it's a background color that kind of just smooths everything out and makes everything look like a smooth transition. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. So I'm just going to take a bit of burnt orange just on a blending brush, and I'm going to take this just above the crease where the kind of bone is, and again back and forth windscreen wiper motions, and it's going to go just over where we blended this bronze shade up to. The reason I want to take it just over the edge of that is obviously so that they transition and blend within one another, rather than it being the bronze color and then me doing that just above it. You want to do it just over it slightly, just on the edge, and then take the transitional color slightly higher. And that way you can't tell where the bronze eyeshadow starts and stops because of the transitional eyeshadow, and it just looks really nice and smooth and seamless. And then just to amp this look up slightly further, kind of define and frame the eye a little bit more and frame our crease slightly more. And this is great for people that don't have really defined creases. Even if you do, I have a clear crease, but I feel like this just makes my makeup look so much better. So I'm gonna go into this shade here, which is Cypress Umber. This is just a nice dark brown. What we usually like to do is apply like the lighter shade on the lid, the lighter part here, and then it tends to get darker on the outer corner and also through the crease, just on a blending brush. This is just a MAC 217. Alternatively, you can use a Morphe M433. There are so many brushes like this. So what I'm doing, I'm always with shadow, make sure whatever shadow you pick up on your brush, you tap off any excess. And the reason you want to do that, especially if you've already got your face makeup on, is because you don't want fallout. And also, if you are a beginner, I strongly advise you do your eye makeup before you do your face makeup. Back to defining the eyes, I'm gonna pat this shade right on the outer corner of my eye, which is basically where my eye ends, right here. And then I'm just gonna wiggle really like lightly so I can feel where the crease is, so I can see it's there, it's dipping in, and that is where I'll use my brush now on the tip and then wiggle back and forth on the outer corner. Now, this is really important. I'm holding it first of all towards the end of the handle. And that is so that I can apply less pressure and I can have more control over the brush if I hold it at the end. If I hold it here, I don't really have a lot of control of movement. If I hold it at the end, I've got control. Also, I'm using the flat side of the brush to push the product onto my lid, and then when I want to go into the crease to get definition, that is when I'm going to lift it slightly and go towards the tip of the brush, and that is when I can get into the crease like so. And you can see I'm not going any higher. If I was to use the brush flat like this on the crease, it's only going to smudge and blend the darker eyeshadow all over there. So that is why you have to be careful with how you're holding the brush and which parts of the brush you're using. So again, I'm just using the tip now. I'm just picking up some more product, using the tip, and I'm just going back and forth into the crease like so. And I'm just trying to define the outer corner and the crease. Another thing you can do is take it with the tip in really small circular motions. Cool, so that's the outer corner defined. Whatever is left, I'm just gonna take that through the rest of my crease, back and forth. If I want, I can take this darker shade slightly higher on the crease instead of keeping it so low like on the lid. So I'm taking it slightly higher, taking it back and forth like so. As I take it higher, just remember we applied a transitional color, so it's blending into that. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that. And if you want, you can always go back in with the brush that you used for the transitional color and just take it over the edge again. It's always good to blend in between shades and shadow. And if you're not comfortable with a brush like this, a brush that I think is amazing for blending transitional colors especially is this Morphe M502. It's slightly larger and it kind of is almost like an eraser. For the lower lash line, I'll just pick up a pencil brush. I think pencil brushes are great for beginners and also just anyone. I love pencil brushes because you're able to get precision with them, but you're also able to smudge and smoke things out. So it's a bit of a 2-in-1. I'm just going to take the same Cypress Umber shade. I'm going to have my mirror slightly higher so I can look straight into it rather than like this and trying to get underneath the eyes. Have your mirror so that it's slightly higher, straight on or above, so you can see your actual lower lash line, and you want to get your brush nice and close to your lash line and just wriggle it back and forth and make sure it goes to the outer corner of the eye. And it's entirely up to you. I mean, you can just do it on the outer third and leave it like that, or you can run this shadow all the way along. Or of course, you can use your eyeshadow pen and just take it wherever you want. And then once I've done that on the lower lash line, I'll always like to go in with the color I used as the transitional shade on the same brush. And I'm just gonna run that along my lower lash line, kind of a little bit over the shadow that we just put on, so that again they transition together and they blend together rather than it being two separate colors, so it looks softer. Okay, so on this eye I'm basically gonna try and recreate this eye look but with a different method. So what I like to do, you've probably seen this in all of my videos, I always like to use an eye base or a concealer. If I use an eye base, it's gonna be one that has a skin tone to it, but most of the time I'll use a concealer because it is the correct skin tone. And when I say skin tone, it's the color that I would use to highlight, so it's slightly lighter than my actual skin. The reason why I want to use a color that is slightly lighter than my actual skin tone is because it's lighter and brighter. Therefore, if it's lighter, it's gonna allow the shadows that you place on top to show their true and visible colors. So I'm gonna take my Fenty Beauty concealer, and I like this one because it dries matte, because that would work perfect as a eye base. I also love my NARS Pop Concealer. That's also a great alternative. Tarte Shape Tape. So I'll just blend this out using a brush. You can use a damp beauty blender sponge and just pat over as well. That will also work a treat. So you can see it really wipes out the eye. You see no discoloration, no dark circles. It's just a nice clean base to work on. And then what I like to do is I like to go in with the transitional shade first. I'm going to go in with Burnt Orange again. same shade. Like I said, we're gonna go into the crease. So exactly how I told you before, I'm gonna find my crease, look down, kind of poke the brush into the area that dips in, and when I found it, that is where I'm gonna go back and forth in windscreen wiper motions, and I'm holding the brush again towards the end of the handle. And what I like to do, I'm blending back and forth, but I also, when I want to go slightly higher, what I'll do is I'll now start taking it in small, teeny weeny circular motions. This way you've got control of how high this goes. And then once I've done circular motions, I'll still go back over that with windscreen wiper motions like so. Don't think that you just have to do one application of shadow and then it's gonna blend out and then that's it. Sometimes, and most of the time, once it blends out, sometimes disappears and gets a little bit light. So you do need to go in maybe 2 or 3 times and build up to the intensity that you like. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna keep going back and forth. And then this is the point that I'll go in with the darker shade. So now I'm gonna go into Cypress Umber. So we're doing this in a completely different order this time. Similar kind of movements. And I'm just going to, again, press this on like so to the outer corner. And then I'm gonna feel for my crease, which is here. And then I'm gonna wriggle it with the tip of the brush into the crease, like so. And don't forget, you don't want to leave this area down here blank. And I'm taking it back and forth again. This small wriggly motion is really good for blending. And then again, now I'll use the tip and I'll take it slightly further in just to define the crease again, like so. And I'll start taking it slightly higher just on the crease now. So we're going slightly higher onto that bone, back and forth. And then I'll just go in again with my transitional shadow brush, this one, which is amazing, and I'll just make sure everything is smoothed over and looks nice and soft. And if you want and you need to build up intensity because you feel like you've blended it out and it's gone light again, just keep patting on some more shadow because I want to just get this nice and dark so it matches this side. And then for the bronze shade, I'm going to use an actual shadow. So I've got the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I'm going to take this shade here called Double Life. And this time I'm going to apply it on a flat synthetic brush. Or you can use like a goat hair brush, whatever brush. The brush just needs to be flat. Whatever you're going to use, it just needs to be a flat brush or something like this. This is a really good one as well. This is from Morphe. This is a Morphe M167. So yeah, I'm just going to pat again. I never like to swipe the shadow on like that because it just doesn't go well. You also don't get the payoff of the shadow that good. So if you really want to see pigment from the shadow, the best thing to do is just pat, and also you'll get less fallout this way. So I'm just going to keep patting this shadow on the lid area and the inner 2/3 of the eye. And I'm not taking it all the way out to the outer third where we've already applied the dark color. I'm making sure I don't take it any higher than the crease. So just keep patting. And then if you do end up going a little bit over that outer third color, the darker color on the outer corner of the eye, all you have to do is go back over with the same brush that you used for the darker shadow with no extra product on it, or you can pick up a teeny bit if you need to and just wriggle back over. Remember that tiny wriggly motion like so, because that is what's going to give you a soft blend between the two eyeshadows. So again, you don't want it to be lid shadow and outer corner shadow. You want it to be soft and smooth as one. So you can see I'm just wriggling that over. Now another little trick I have is just pick up some of the shadow from the palette, and so I've got the product on my brush, and then just with like a setting spray, this is Anastasia Beverly Hills Dewy Mist. You can use Fix Plus. Basically Fix Plus is the key, and this is another version of it. So I'm just gonna basically spray the brush like this so that it gets a bit damp, and that is the best way to apply a metallic shadow. You don't want to do this with your matte shadows, and then you can go ahead and press it on and it will give you that shine and excitement, and the color will come back alive again. I love doing both methods, but I love using brushes and using shadows and doing stuff like this because I'm able to get proper precision and product placement, and I'm able to get the shadows right up to the crease where I want it. I can get them to blend where they want, whereas a cream product like that, I mean, it looks beautiful, but it's very like soft. Whereas this, the eyeshadows with brushes and powder, all of that, pigments, it can be a bit more punchy. So I'm just going to do the same again on the lower lash line on this side. A last little eyeshadow thing that you can do is, if there's ever a light gold in a palette, which most of the time there is, I'm going to take a little bit of glistening. What you can do is just on another pencil brush, just take that onto the very inner corners, and I'm literally just pressing it on right there. Just right on the inner corner of your eye. And what this will do is it just gives the eye look a really nice finished touch. And also other things that you could do is obviously apply your mascara, apply false lashes. You can even go in with a pencil liner in your waterline. I always feel like this can complete an eyeshadow look rather than having like a gappy flesh color coming through. So using a pencil just in your waterline here just really does tie everything together. That is basically 2 ways that you can do your eyeshadow as a beginner, even an advanced person. I just basically really wanted to help you out and give you really inside info tips. I hope you took something away from this video. I actually really hope it helped you. But let me know if there's any other areas of makeup that you feel like you really want to know more detail on and more information, because I'm happy to help you guys and do that for you. So let me know in the comments section. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, if you learned something, if you enjoyed it, and please share this video with everyone that you know. I always feel like I come across people that are like, I love makeup but I don't know how to do eyeshadow. But if you honestly just follow these easy steps, you'll be able to get it, and just keep practicing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all in my next video. Mwah. Bye.